Hello and welcome back. My name is Jack B. And as always, thank you for viewing my video. People are buzzing about the direction and future of America. The direction of America and where we will end are in the hands of corporate leaders, decision makers, voters, and elected officials. This is not a Democrat or Republican issue. It is a people issue. People always think they know the answer or they know what has happened, even though they have no idea about the facts or circumstances. Plus, unbeknownst to the people, they are inadvertently training or programming our children as they go. The composition of the U.S. population will determine where the country will go. It might be beneficial to look at the composition of the population rather than specific positions or individuals. I suggest we can gain some understanding from the demographics from which our leaders are selected and about those who elect them. I believe the events and circumstances in and around an individual's life, especially when they are young, affect the way they think, act, and choose. I am not proposing I have an inkling of what they will end up doing. There may be more nuances in an individual's life that will add to their decision-making process. Adults today control what is currently happening, and they are also influencing and teaching the future generations. Another indicator for the direction of America would be the federal government resources to operate. The revenue sources for the federal government to function also comes from the U.S. population. To start, I suggest it may be helpful to review some basic information as to how the federal government is funded. The revenue is obtained from several areas, but mostly from the population. Income taxes on an individual's paycheck account for close to 50% of the total federal revenue. Separate employer and individual payroll taxes fund Social Security and Medicare. This accounts for approximately 35% of the federal revenue. Corporate income taxes account for 11% of revenue. Other taxes include excise, estate, customs duties, etc. When spending exceeds revenue, the government borrows money by selling treasury bills, notes, and bonds, adding to the national debt. To get a better understanding, let's review the federal FY 2025 budget. FYI, the federal fiscal year runs from October 1st through September 30th. According to U.S. Treasury data, Treasury fiscal data, Bipartisan Policy Center, and the Congressional Budget Office, the FY 2025 U.S. federal spending was approximately $7.01 trillion. There was $5.23 trillion in revenue. The overspending resulted in approximately $1.8 trillion being added to the national deficit. Digging a bit deeper into the source of the $5.23 trillion revenue reveals individual income taxes accounted for approximately $2.4 trillion or 49%, payroll taxes accounted for approximately $1.7 trillion or 35%, corporate taxes accounted for approximately $530 billion or 11%. Other sources accounted for approximately $600 billion. Basic arithmetic shows how $1.8 trillion were added to the national deficit. The first brass ring people grab to explain the deficit is the other political party. Then they zero in on inefficiency, misspending, and overspending by the federal government, and to a certain extent they are correct. But there are other aspects to that need to be considered to reduce the deficit spending. 1. Assure everyone pays their share of the taxes, including the billionaires and corporations. 2. Assure all those who are able to work do work. 3. Assure those receiving government assistance deserve it. 4. Go after fraudulent activities. As of December 2025, the total population of the U.S. was approximately 341.7 million. The population of those over 18 years of age was approximately 267 million. The population of people under 18 years of age in the U.S. was approximately 73 to 74 million. In addition, there are estimated to be 267 million people over the age of 18 that could work either part-time or full-time. The Bureau of Labor Statistics indicates that 168.5 million people are employed. There are 14.2 million workers in the 18 to 24-year-old group. There are 141.5 million workers in the 20 to 65-year-old group, and there are 11 million workers in the over 65 age group. There are approximately 103 million people not working. At this point, we can see that 168.5 million people funded the federal government. Individual income taxes accounted for approximately $2.4 trillion or 49%, and their payroll taxes accounted for approximately $1.7 trillion or 35%. Approximately 62.9% of the working age population, or 49% of the entire population, provided funding for the federal government, while the other 38.5%, 103 million people of the working-aged people, did not work, or provide funding to the federal government. As a matter of fact, the 38.5 percenters may have collected some amount of assistance. The more 38.5 percenters work, the more the federal deficit would be reduced by contributions to the funding and not receiving federal assistance. People generally overlook this aspect of the deficit. Our elected leaders ought to be financially responsible, but instead they go for the vote and cater to their donors. Elected officials come from the same pool of people that vote for them. No matter how close we think we are to people, we never know what they truly think or believe. People only show us what they wish us to see. They always have secrets they hide. Even children don't know all there is to know about their parents. I suspect if we look at the fabric of the population in the U.S., then we might get some idea of the nature of the individual. I did not cover marketeers, social media, or news outlets which have a huge influence over people because they are intended to mesmerize the viewer or listener and be used as a direct single funnel to their minds. And the population might not even be aware of what is happening. As previously stated, the total population of the U.S. in 2025 was approximately 341.7 million people, and the population of people under 18 years of age in the U.S. was approximately 73 to 74 million. As of July 1st, 2023, the Federal Register stated the Census Bureau estimates there are approximately 262 million Americans over 18 years of age that might be able to register to vote. 174 million people were registered to vote in the 2024 election, and only 154 million people voted. 77.3 million people, or 49.8%, voted Republican, and 75 million people, or 48.3%, voted Democrat. The winner won by only a 1.5% margin. Therefore, approximately 22.5% of the total population, or 29.5% of actual voters, determined the President of the U.S. The decision was made by less than one-third of the people. Each of the following environments will shape the individual's thought process, looking at the number of people included in each group, as well as the number of people not included in that group, and the nuances each group may bring to mind. When one reads the data, one might gain some insights to the individual. These are not good or bad issues. They are just a compilation of data on large segments of the population who elect our leaders and who become leaders. Individuals are shaped by the people with whom they associate during work hours, and the influences the company place on the individual. Employers have cultures, standards, and visions they want practiced. The employers want an image. The associates fall into these guidelines to stay employed. We covered the working portion of the population. As previously stated, 168.5 million people are employed. There are approximately 103 million people not working. They are neither working nor looking for work. Approximately 30.7 million people, ages 16 to 75, are unable to work due to health issues. The military shapes people, and depending on their service experiences, may be left with lifelong effects. There are approximately 1.3 to 1.32 million active duty military personnel, and approximately 15.8 to 18 million veterans in the U.S. Roughly 61 to 62 million Americans are aged 65 and over are potential retirees. About 53 million people are retired workers receiving Social Security benefits as of 2025. When people are young, they may attend some religious activity with their parents. As the individual grows, they may choose to continue attending religious ceremonies. The priests, pastors, rabbis, religious leaders, and parishioners all have influences on them. In 2023, there were approximately 263 million adults aged 18 years and older in the U.S. In 2023, approximately 162 million U.S. adults were Christian, 18.3 million were non-Christian, 76 million were unaffiliated, and 6.7 million unknowns. Teachers, professors, classmates, as well as other outside influences shape the individual during their time in school. Approximately 275 million people have a high school diploma, and approximately 56 million people have a college degree. Parents and caregivers directly affect the children that are in their charge. Many nuances exist concerning those people who are responsible for children. The environment in which our children grow is important. Nearly all children under 18 attend school. In 2025, there are approximately 18.9 million preschool-aged children under the age of 5 years. There are around 55 to 56 million students in public and private kindergarten through 12th grade. In 2022, approximately 18.5 million people of 18 to 24 years of age were enrolled in college. There are 73 to 74 million children under the age of 18 in the U.S. Roughly 22 million children live in 11 million single-parent male and female family groups. There are about 3.2 million parentally bereaved children in the U.S., and the number is rising. Over 368,000 children live in foster care homes under state control, and 33,000 to 40,000 children are living in group settings such as institutions or group homes. The 73 to 74 million children under the age of 18 years are the future of America and are heavily influenced by many people from all walks of life. These are the leaders of the future. The sources for the following information are from the following institutions: the Mental Health America, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, the National Institute of Mental Health, the National Survey on Drug Use and Health, and the Census Bureau. Mental illness is a consideration which is often overlooked or hidden. 1 in 5 American adults, nearly 60 million people, experience mental illness issues every year. The most common mental illnesses are anxiety disorders, major depression, and bipolar disorder. These disorders affect nearly 1 in 4 adults, 20%, annually. 14.5 to 15.4 million people live with serious mental illnesses such as schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and severe depression. These significantly affect their daily lives as well as those around them. Schizophrenia and severe bipolar disorder are treated with antipsychotic medications, and the patients are generally allowed to circulate freely among the population. Data from 2024 shows 174.4 million drink alcohol. Harvard Health reports approximately 66.2 million adults are excessive drinkers, but only 10% have a severe alcohol use disorder. Depending on the study, 25.2 to 57.2 million people admitted drinking during working hours. In 2024, an estimated 73.6 million people aged 12 or older used illicit drugs in the past year. The common drugs taken included 64.2 million people used marijuana, 10.4 million people took hallucinogens, and 7.6 million people abused prescription painkillers. 68% of the working population used drugs at work. There are roughly 1 in 3 Americans, approximately 117 to 122 million people, that are on some form of government assistance. Around 40 to 42 million monthly participants in SNAP, food stamps, and over 77 million people enrolled in Medicaid CHIP, health insurance. The homeless population is often overlooked. In January 2024, there were over 771,000 homeless people in U.S. 67 to 77% of homeless people experience current or lifetime disorders. Conservative estimates suggest at least 25 to 30% of homeless adults have serious mental illnesses. Some data points to over 120,000 individuals with serious mental illnesses experiencing homelessness in 2022. Common disorders: substance use disorders, around 44%, major depression, around 19%, bipolar disorder, around 8%, and schizophrenia, around 7%, are among the most prevalent. Criminals are a significant part of our population and affect people around them. Between 70 million and 100 million U.S. adults have some type of criminal record. An estimated 19 million people have a felony conviction. There are over 800,000 registered sex offenders walking the streets. As of mid-2023, the total number of people in jails and prisons was over 1.8 million people. Gangs also have a significant impact on society, culture, and people's choices. The number of gang members ranges from 731,000 to over 1 million. There are 30,000 to 33,000 gangs in the U.S., which include street, prison, and motorcycle gangs. I have not found how all the above groups intermingle or intersect. It might be an abstract multidimensional Venn diagram. It would be interesting to see. And finally, the people that have the single most influence on children are their parents, and their parents' friends, their family and their family's friends, and the children's friends. I tried to keep the number groups at a level that affects most people, groups that people can understand. There are probably some other high-level groups I missed. I did not want to go down rabbit holes covering every single group existing in America today. There would be hundreds of thousands of individual subcategories. But from the grouping provided, one can see there are tens of millions and even hundreds of millions of people in some groups that have their thoughts shaped by their environment. These are the people determining the direction of America. This is the population from which some leaders arise and some leaders are elected. Well, these are my thoughts for today. And again, whether you agree or disagree, please verify the information presented. Thank you. And until next time, take care and be safe. Bye. Ooh.